Okay, I wanted to make a little video about modifying our Playmobil character to match the scene that we're wanting to use for our final project. So I created a new version of this, and you'll find three different textures in that link that this file uses: legs PNG, body PNG, and face PNG. You can see already where I'm going with this, maybe. Spoiler. And we have our model inside of Max. Now, there are tools inside of Max for painting right on a model, which we could use if we needed them to help figuring out exactly where the layout and stuff would go. We can also just edit it in Photoshop and take a look at our character and see kind of where we're at there as well. So I wanted to play around with this a little bit. I'm going to just try to do it the easiest way first, and that is going to be modifying in Photoshop and bringing it over. So I spent a fair amount of time trying to make just really easy to follow, really easy to see versions of the flat texture for you to play with for your character. So you can kind of tell what's what. These are the arms, the hands, the legs, the hair. Here is the face, obviously, and the body for that character. Now, I'm wanting to turn my character into Morpheus from The Matrix. So I found this kind of really great picture of Morpheus. It's not a great likeness, but it's super simple. It's minimalistic. It's easy for me to see what's what. And I'm going to use it to create the edits to this face and basically, create a version of this character. I'm going to pick this one. The polygonal select tool is one of my absolute favorite tools in Photoshop, even though there are so many great tools, because I just think it's easy to use. So you can see here, I'm kind of just creating an eyebrow, and I like the look of that. Let's go ahead and make a new layer. And I'm going to be real, again, I'm going to try to be pretty basic here. I'm going to paint this in, hit Control D and deselect, and we can see, here we go, I've got this eyebrow I've created. Now, it's a little small maybe for these eyes, so let's just hit Control T and make this bigger. Now, all I did was literally trace the eyebrow of Morpheus here, and then drew me a new one. I would say it got a little bit blurry. So let's go ahead and make another one maybe. I'll make another new layer. And again, is this the most optimal, the only way to do this? Absolutely not. If you've been using Photoshop for quite a while, you probably know all kinds of tools that are maybe better than the way I'm doing it. If you haven't used it in a while, I might be using some tools that maybe you haven't really used. So this is kind of a weird way of doing it, but I'm okay with that. Right, I'm just going to, again, modify this selection so my edges look better, and I'm just going to use the paint bucket and paste that in. And now I have that newer version of the eyebrow that's not blurry. And then now I'm going to copy and paste my layer. Again, maybe too strong with the blurriness there, or sharp edge. Might be a little bit too crunchy, but maybe I'll just modify that a little bit. Again, it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical unless I want it to be, right? And if I want, I can even blur out these edges a little bit more, clean them up. Again, if you've worked with Photoshop or you played with some of these tools, then there are a million different ways to kind of modify, play with them, edit them, etc. Again, maybe that's too blurry. I don't know. I'm just kind of playing around here. I got to be careful because I want the video to not be a million minutes long. So, we can play with how much we want it blurry, how much we don't. Maybe I'll just leave it pixely for now and call it a day. All right. And I'm going to do kind of the same thing with these glasses here. I'm going to snag a version of those glasses. Now, I could steal them directly. We can see how that looks. Ugly. So it looks like redrawing's probably going to be our best bet. So that looks pretty good. And then we'll grab part of the nose piece here. Again, I'm going to use my favorite tool here. I'm going to hold shift and just select some. Now, even though this is a polygonal tool, which means it's drawing straight lines, if we add enough partitions, you can get a pretty decent looking curve. I don't care about it being absolutely perfect. Good enough is fine with me. And now let's make a new layer there, and let's move this thing over and see where we're at. Okay, not too bad. Let's go ahead and do transform selection, because I feel like it's a little small still. That might be too big. You know, the Playmobil face is kind of larger than maybe the human one. I kind of like that, peeking out a little bit there. Looks good. Let's go ahead and fill that and see what we got. And we'll just duplicate our layer. Go to image, or layer rather. What am I looking for? Image, edit, transform. Sorry, I'm tired. All right, and grab that and just move it on over. Doesn't look like I don't. It's got a bit of a. There we go. That was all right. Let's go ahead and merge those layers, and maybe we'll move it over a little bit as well. Again, I kind of like the little bit of the eye peeking out, only because it almost gives that sort of little small for the face look, which kind of Morpheus has. Now, of course, the color's all wrong on this guy, so we might need to change it up a bit. We'll select that, do a new file, and find a good color that we're happy with. If you're wanting to try to match skin tone as close as possible to Playmobil, I could always look up Playmobil figures and see if I can do there, but I am okay with just kind of guesstimating. You know, I don't think that's a very good likeness anyway, so I'm getting play around here. That might work okay. And let's do image, select inverse, and not sure. Again, I might have to look up Playmobil to see. What we want to go with there. I don't hate that. Maybe we'll do a nice outline. Okay. All right. Not bad. Again, I can keep tinkering with it and playing with it or whatever. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to hit merge down and hit file. Oh, whoops. I'm just going to hit merge all, flatten image, and hit save. Now that will overwrite the other one. That's okay. Let's take a look what it looks like. Not too bad. Looks pretty good on my character. Now, this character has this hair. Obviously, Morpheus doesn't. I'll just hit delete and see where we are. Now, this is the biped sticking out from there, and you can see, oh man, not ideal. Looks like there's a little bit of weirdness happening there. Modifying anything underneath the skin modifier can be a little tricky, so maybe it's good that I'm doing this so we can see the trick for fixing this. Let's go ahead, and I'm just going to cut that modifier completely, and let's see if this works. It may or may not work. Oh, don't want that. Let's add our UVW map. Planar, unwrap. We don't want his face on his own head, right? Like, otherwise, it'll be smiling on his own head. So we'll just lower it down and put it right there. Looks good. And we will collapse all. Yes. And here we are. Let's go ahead and paste skin back in. And let's check to see if our modifier is okay. It looks pretty good still. Yeah. So, it can be a little tricky. I will say the other thing I'm going to do while we're already here, let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and hide my guy real quick, all the pieces. So I'm just left with my biped, and I'm gonna go ahead and select it all, right click, go to Object Properties, and I'm going to turn off Renderable. This is something that's really important. It will make sure that our biped doesn't actually render, especially with half of it popping out of his head. And now if you see, if I render it, hit Control Shift render it, there's my biped, or my character. The biped's not showing up. All right. So if I don't like his weird shaped head, of course, we could modify it further or re-edit it or do anything other adjustments. I don't want to modify too much probably here because it's already rigged, but I could create a cap, like a plastic cap that would go in here for baldness and just link it to the head, and it should work out just fine if we wanted to go down that route. Again, I want this video to be short. I'm already at 10 minutes. So let's make this part 1, and I'll keep doing the rest in the next.